This is Ger Va'aretz with the sixth video on Parashas Beresheis with the Kedushat Levi. To understand this section, I'm going to skip ahead and explain something that's concealed very deeply in this section. And that's a reference to a sage known as Rasag, who lived approximately 875 after the in the Common Era, and to, 50, 75 years later. The exact time frame doesn't matter. And as he wrote in Arabic, it's not possible for me to get his writings, and I haven't even been able to find any of his writings online in order to find them, to read them if I could read Arabic. So I'm only able to go on an explanation by someone about what he said. So it may not be completely accurate. Of course, my understanding of it's going to be different than the explainer said. There's a paradox in infinite time, and let's go with it as distance rather than time. If you have 2 points that are infinitely far apart, that nobody could travel from one point to the other point because it's an infinite distance, and it would take an infinite time to get there, so you can never cross that infinite space between the 2 points which are infinitely far apart. Even if you traveled at infinite speed, maybe, but at something less than infinite speed, you could never get there. Now, it's easy to see that looking forward, we could never reach, were we to live that long, we could never reach a time that's in the infinite future. It would be impossible. Is time infinite going backwards? That's the question. If time is infinite going backwards, then the point in time that we call now would be infinitely far forward in time, and we would never be able to travel from that infinite past to the time period that we call now. Now, this sounds like one of those paradoxes that people do for fun, which is impossible to resolve, but it has been resolved because we're here. So somehow this time period has been crossed. The opposite side to that was the concept of an accidental infinity, where the universe and everything in it was accidentally created at some point in time that we use as a point of origin. And that also is wrong, because what was before that point of origin but an infinite time before it? To use another example, if I explain going to the store, I can give an infinite explanation of that by saying I walked out of the driveway into the sidewalk to the street that heads down beside the house and so forth, and divide the journey into an infinite number of divisions and create an infinite journey out of a half-mile walk to the store just by stopping at a whole bunch of points. So I'll go on with this and we'll see how it ties into Kedushat Levi. It does. It's kind of an exciting paradox to me because it explains so many things. And if there's time on the video, I will go into some more. Bereshit bara Elohim. In the beginning, Elohim created. Peresh Rashi. Rashi explained, Lo haya zarich lahatachil haTorah chulei. It was not necessary to begin the Torah. And I will complete the quote from the Rashi commentary. Said Rabbi Yitzhak, it was not necessary to begin the Torah except from this month is to you, in Shemot 12:12, which is the first commandment that the Israelites were commanded. For the main purpose of the Torah is its commandments, and although several commandments are found in Genesis, and it goes on from there. Li chara yesh lahavin, the explanation, there is to understand, HaTorah zarich lahatachil bebeit, that the Torah needed to start with the bet. V'hanira, as it is seen, ki ta'am shahaTorah matachil bebeit, that the rationale that the Torah begins with the letter bet, mishum da'am ru zichronam livaracha yelekut Yeremiah Siman Rasag B'Shem. Wow. That the sages of blessed memory, and then it goes on to give the name of a book I'm not familiar with, and I think I put the name wrong, that the word is Rasag, and it's not Jeremiah Rasag. But there's a siman, that there's a cycle that Rasag says that needs to start from there. Pirkei Divrei Eliezer, from the writings of Eliezer, She'ot Beit Satum Mi Shalosh Rachot, that the letter Beit hides from 3 rachot, or spirits. And what is a spirit? We have the level of the soul called the ruach, which is the connector between the nefesh, which is our emotive, our heart, our lower world, and the neshama, which is defined as the upper world, where the nefesh is firmly implanted in this lower world and has physical desires, and the neshama has only mental desires. The mental is more stimulating. I get a lot more fun out of doing this than I do out of some of the physical things I do. And the ruach is the spirit that connects it. Right now I have a ruach Talmud, or a spirit of studying, or you could have a spirit of whatever it is that's driving your passion. It's a movement from one point to the other, a transition period. And that's the way I understand it. It's not necessarily the way you'll find it if you look it up on the internet. Tuach me ruach zifonit, and they are openings, or they're opening. It's a verb in the present tense. They're providing openings that hidden openings for this ruach. And I'm leaving a lot unsaid here because there's some verbs here. I can't imagine how you can put door into an opening, or opening into a verb form. When you're talking about a door, it's dooring you. It's letting you through the door. I don't know how to do that. Asher Hashem yitbarach bara haolam b'shalosh ruachot. That Hashem yitbarach, Hashem of blessings, created in the past tense the world with 3 spirits. And these 3 spirits are transitioning functions that take us from the world of Berea to the world of Yetzirah to the world of Asiya, things that we just have decided to define along the way as Berea, Yetzirah, and Asiya. And we could break those down even further, and we do sometimes with the 10 Sefirot. But at some point in time, we can't break them down any further without becoming infinite. Mi shias atzmo Eloha, and who that would make themselves Eloha. And I'm really trying to figure out that word Eloha and what it means. It could be a sense of divinity. So I'm going to leave the word blank because it doesn't really matter. The one that would make themselves something. Yomru lo, say to him, Sheyivara haruach harevi'it. And the sense is a person who would say that, okay, I'm above these 3 levels of creation that we have, Berea, Yetzirah, and Asiya, but it was me that was above that because I have this internal Berea, Yetzirah, and Asiya. I just say to him that, you know what, the world wasn't made with 3 concealments, it was made with 4 concealments, and it would go on and on and on to infinity. Nimsa ha te'hala beveit. Therefore, the Torah is started with veit, with the letter veit, or with 3 concealments, because we had to do something. Mishum le yadash hakodesh baruch hu chidash haolam, and from there it is to know that the Kodesh Baruch Hu renewed the world. And when we have Ha'olam, we have the lowest level of the world. So there's a renewal of some point, and this is a key. Ve'shapir katav Rashi. Rashi said, Lo hayazarich hatachil ela me ha'chodesh hazeh, that there was no need to start except from this renewal, etc. Rashi chose this renewal. The Torah chose that renewal, which was in a previous time. Sha'az b'sha'at Yatziat Mitzrayim, and then at the time of Yetziat, of the sending forth Mitzrayim, and the word Mitzrayim here should have a lamed before it. It should say from Mitzrayim. So Mitzrayim contains the mem in it with the word zar, which is the concept of a constricted point. So we only need to start the world or the history of the Torah from some constricted point. Al yadei ha-nisim v'ha-niflaot, through miracles and wonders. Re'u, see, Hashem Yitbarach chidesh ha'olam, that Hashem Yitbarach renewed the world. Kenizachar b'sefrei kodesh, as is mentioned in the holy book, which I think is probably the Zohar, she'al yedei Yetziat Mitzrayim noda chidush ha'olam, through the sending forth from the constricted places, we continuously know a renewal of the world, ha'olam, the world in this lowest point. V'hamevin yavin, those who understand, understand. So we have this point of endless beginnings, and since I have time, I'll look at another endless beginning. I've often been told by teachers that we can't study the Torah on our own, and yet we can't find teachers to study the Torah. They say that we have to study the Rishonim, the Amorim, and Talmud, and this and that, and study all these things before we can get to study what is here and now. And I suspect that back in Talmudic times they were saying the same thing with texts before then. So what's one to do? We either can't study because there's no teachers that will give us the information, or we select a teacher, in this case the Kedushat Levi, as a chidush, as a renewal point or a point of emanation from which the studies will progress. It's not meant to be disrespectful to the rabbis, it's just meant to be what is, that even at some point a rabbi who is at the highest level will not be able to find a teacher that can teach them, so they eventually have to study on their own without knowing everything. That's just some thoughts I had after Kedushat Levi, and maybe I'll think they're different next year. And that concludes the recording.